But what do they think? They think more of the same, or they feel like Kirby's going to take us and get us to the top and keep us there?
They absolutely believe that he's the right guy to run the program. And, he's bringing in a lot of the mentality and the process that he learned under Saban, and he's putting his own spin on it. But they fully expect that, given time and resources, he's going to build a replicate of what he had in Alabama under Saban. That's what they brought him in for. It's what they're paying him for. And they feel like it's a matter of time before they get over the hump and win one of these big games. Rick was beloved for a long time, but when he lost that SEC championship to Alabama, he never really was the same after that. They were right there, literally on the goal line, and were denied, several years. And it was just a matter of time that he was out after that, which is a pity because, they liked him. He ran a clean program. The players responded to him. There wasn't any of the normal challenges you see of players are tuning the guy out. There's some people, and I think Coach Dye believes in this too, like about the 10-year mark, you need to change coaches because they kind of tune out, the players tune out if they hear the same voice all the time. So Rick had been at Georgia around 10 years. It was time for a change. And then when he went to Miami, he only lasted a year or two, and then he retired. So he was probably about done anyway. And you can't recruit in the SEC, or even around just the Atlanta metro area if you're not fully engaged and energetic. If you're getting a little older and a little burned out, you need to leave because it's a vicious area, like you said.
Yeah, it is so intense. And the state of Georgia produces the fourth most number of players in America, Division I, and close to 200 last year went to Division I schools. You've got Georgia State University, Kennesaw State. They've come onto the scene. Georgia Southern's been around for a while. Irk Russell got that program up. They won a bunch of national championships, followed by Tim Stowers. He won another national championship. They're not as good as they were, but, man, they're producing a lot of players. And we all know Georgia State went up the first game of the year last year and beat Tennessee in Knoxville, and they won in convincing fashion. So there's high school football in Georgia is awesome.
It is, and Georgia State's got Alabama back on their schedule this year, so here's hoping they can knock those guys off like they did Tennessee. That would be amazing.
Yeah, look,
you can always hope.
Yeah, there's no easy. The only easy day was yesterday. It's really impossible. Billy, if you can, we're going to bring in just a moment. We're going to bring Sonny Smith on the show. We're going to talk some SEC and college basketball, and like to keep you on with us. And again, this should be Final Four weekend. A lot of people wondering, hey, man, we're going in. Monday night should be the national championship. Not happening this year, but it's gonna come back. Again, a lot of people, you got to look at the future. A lot's going on behind the scenes. There's still recruiting going on in college basketball, so there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle that are being put in. But real quick, let me say something about some of our sponsors, Billy, before we get to Coach Smith. Pimentos and Holiday Ham. Restaurants, they are open. Check their hours. I know Pimentos on 6450 Poplar Avenue and 3751 South Houston Levee in Collierville, they're open. They have till 6 o'clock at Pimentos on Poplar. You can go in there. I've been going in there and getting my food. You can walk in, pick it up, take it out. They'll bring it out there into the parking lot. Check them out. Check out their website. Also, they have the drive-thru at the Pimentos in Collierville. It's open until 8 o'clock at night. They're really doing a lot out there. Also, all the Holiday Ham locations are open every night till 7 or 8. They have a drive-thru at the location on Union, just west of Cooper. Check that out. Rocky's Alterations, 1866 Poplar Crest Cove behind Mecca Eye Care. Men's and women's, any kind of alteration that you need. If it involves a needle and a thread. Now, I cannot sew. I can sew stitches in myself, but I can't sew. But they do sport coats, men's and women's, sport coats, blazers, anything that you need. Dress shirts, dress pants, dress shirts. Rocky's Alterations. That's the old Rocky is the nephew of Richard Capadia, who was at Joseph A. Banks for a long, long time. And I want to say something, too. I was down at one of our sponsors this afternoon, Tom Martin's Body Shop, at G.E. Patterson and B.B. King. They are open They are doing business, Tom Martin's Body Shop. They will pick up cars at your house. You can bring them to Tom's house. He will meet you. They are open. They are working. They've got a great crew. Listen, I got 3 kids and a wife. I've taken every vehicle I've ever had at the Tom Martin's Body Shop, and I'm nothing but happy. Tom is as good a guy as you're going to find in that business. Tom Martin's Body Shop, one of our sponsors. So let's go down to Coach Sonny Smith, who's on the radio with us. And Coach, this should be Final Four weekend, and I think we're all missing it. College basketball, and I've got Billy Roberts on the line with us over in Atlanta. We should be talking about the Final Four, and Auburn fans wanted to be there. Kentucky fans did, but still a lot going on in the sports world. And talk about what you think basketball-wise, all these programs, how do they deal with not getting to go to the tournament, and how they handling recruiting and all that? Okay, Coach, you there?
I'm here.
Okay, yeah.
Go.
Okay, sorry about that. I mentioned to you, this should be Final Four weekend, and it's obviously not happening Monday night. The national championship game not going to happen. If you're a coach and you got to see Auburn and all the SEC schools and a lot of schools around the country, how do you handle this right now? What are you telling your team, and what are you doing in recruiting, and how are you taking what you did and parlaying that into bringing in top-notch players?
Well, I can tell you, I'd be telling my team that you accomplished a great deal. You played better than you were. You won games that you possibly were not even a favorite in. You had an incredible season, and I was looking forward to you having a better season had we been able to play it. This was a highly motivated team. This was a team that played together, and this was a team that wasn't quite as talented as their record. And I always look at that when somebody said, well, judge this coach or judge that. I would say this had a combination of players that paid attention to the coach, bought into the program, and a coach that bought into the players, got the best out of each one of them that he possibly could. And that's what this team was with. They were not a team that I would favor to win anything if you're speaking of Auburn. And if you're talking about a team that I thought was good enough to win it, and I didn't think they would have been Kentucky. I think that they were close enough to be that. I thought, I didn't know who to think would be the better team in the country, but it might have been Dayton, it might have been Kansas. It's a difficult thing to say, but that's the way I look at the season for the Auburn team.
Yeah, and Billy, I want to ask you a question real quick. Because of the cancellations, Auburn's not going to return a single player with NCAA tournament experience next year. And that goes for probably several other schools too. And so what do you do to get the program back on solid footing going into next year? Because you coached and
you coach the players if you got returning.
Yeah.
You see that you get them to play better than they are, like this team did. You look to see if the recruits are as good as they were rated. You better have a point guard, and I think they have. In Sharif Cooper, is that correct? Did I get his name right?
Yes.
And I think he's the guy that you got to have a point guard before you start building. And then you got to have a rim protector, and then you build around that with players that are athletic and can shoot from the three-point line. And I think he probably has some of that already here. He does need a rim protector, and I'm not sure that even if he does, he has to have a backup. So I would think that the recruiting has gone really well. I do not know about the skills of the players that he recruited. I've only seen one of them play, and I know that he's skilled enough to be a starter immediately. He would have been a starter on last year's team. That's Sharif. He would have been that good.
Okay. Billy, go ahead. I know you had a question.
Yeah, Coach, it's great talking to you. I was in school down in Auburn with Rob in the 80s. And
I cannot hear Billy's question. Somebody repeat it for me.
Okay. Billy was just making a point that he was at Auburn back in the 80s when you were coaching at Auburn. And sorry about the technical problem. We got a hum in the line. But Billy, go ahead, and I'll relay it.
obviously the Frank Ford, Joe White, Chris Morris teams, those guys were great, and I was interested in how he thought they might
repeat Billy's question for me. I cannot hear him. I bet again you.
One of the high points of Auburn basketball.
Can somebody else
You and I
what he said?
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, sorry about the technical problem here. Billy, was just want to ask you, Coach, about Frank Ford, Gerald White, and the players that you had that were the nucleus of the Auburn teams that went to 5 straight NCAA tournaments. Similarities in in what you see now, and how special that was, and what it took to get there.
Well, that was a special team. That was a team that gelled at exactly the right time. And that was a team that was carried for a long time by Chuck Person. And all of a sudden, every one of them started to get good. And every one of them looked at Frank Ford as a leader, Gerald White as a point guard that could lead them. And we had really good players from there on. Jeff Moore was outstanding, and so was Chris Morris, and both the 4 of them, and Mike Jones. You take that group right there, and they were good enough to beat anybody. And I thought, had we been able to get by Louisville, we probably would have won it all.
Yeah,
we were that good. But getting by Louisville, it won it all. It was really a close game, and we took a bad shot there that won the game for Louisville. We threw it into the post, and the big 7'3" center for Louisville blocked it into the backcourt, and they picked it up and laid it up and ended up beating us on a play. I was going to tell you the name of the center, and it passed by me right then, but it was really
who it was?
Played in the pros. But with all that said, the bad thing about that team is that we have lost three of those guys to have died this year. I had 7 players that played for me in the last 2 jobs that I had, the last 3 jobs that I had actually. 7 players died this year, and it's not because it's a thing to bring up, but it's because I coached for so long, and that kind of thing happens.
Oh yeah, you had a lot of relationships, and the player you're talking about was a Savannah, Georgia native. Remember, never nervous, Purvis Ellison.
Yeah, Purvis Ellison wanted to knock the ball into the backcourt, and he was a great rim protector. We actually didn't need to take the shots, but Jeff Moore thought he was so open. He was just right up in the middle of the lane, so wide open. He was supposed to kick it opposite to Chuck Person, supposed to be screened for him. They were playing his own. They played his own the whole game. They'd never done it before, but they feared shooting inside, and also they trying to stop Chuck Person with his own by slamming his own his way all night. But it ended up being a really close game, and they went at 2-3 zone. Purvis Ellison blocked Jeff Moore's shot. Jeff Moore was an outstanding shooter, but he didn't have a shot, and he got it blocked, and that kind of hurt us.
Yeah.
But all in together, that was really an outstanding season for us.
Oh yeah, and Coach, looking around the SEC, a lot happened this year. We had a lot of new coaches in the league. Obviously, second year of Kermit Davis at Ole Miss, but Eric Musselman in Arkansas began to make some strides. And obviously, you've got Will Wade at LSU, who's a heck of a coach, came from Virginia Commonwealth, where you coached. And
yes.
Tom Crean's second year at Georgia, and you saw the first year of Stackhouse up at Vanderbilt. But what did you see? Did you think the league was getting better toward the end of the year?
No question. There's no question about it. Vanderbilt was capable of beating anybody at the end of the year. Start of the year couldn't beat anybody. So that's how well they came along. They were the last place team in the league. Georgia, who was probably talented but not playing well early, was playing really well late. That's an example. And then you go to LSU, who played steady the whole year but appeared to be getting stronger at the end of the year. Auburn, who played solid all year, is starting to gel at the end of the year. Tennessee was probably consistent all along, but I don't think you could say they got better towards the end of the year, but I thought they were beginning to get better towards the and Kentucky was just solid. I don't know how they would. You could compare Kentucky early in the year as opposed to the end of the year, but I do know that they were capable of winning a national championship if they'd got through the SEC. And well, they would have gone anyhow with their record throughout the year, but it's hard to judge whether they were playing at the top at the end or not. But I tell you what, Kentucky was just as good as a point guard play, in my opinion. And when their point played up to standards that he's capable of, Higgins, I'm speaking of, I thought they were capable of beating anybody.
Yeah, they're so loaded with talent, and I know I've asked you this before, but when you bring in the kind of talent that Kentucky does every year, how hard is it to get those guys to leave their egos, their personal agendas, what they want to do aside, and melt together as a team?
I think, John. It's funny to say this, but I think John's got the most difficult job in the league. He has to take those players that individually great, tremendous upside to them. Their egos big. They're going to be pros, and get those kids to play together with that type of thing facing him is tremendous, and he's able to do it every year. And I think it was a good call to make him the coach of the year this year because of what he does with the talent that he had. It's harder to coach great players than it is average players, because you got to get those great players to accept a role, and it might not be the role that they got in mind.
That's right.
Because you can't have 5 first shot takers and makers playing at the same time if you can't get control of the shots.
Yeah.
And John gets control of the shot, and he gets them playing solid defense, and he gets them looking for one another, and he gets them to believe in. If you notice Kentucky's going to play inside out all the time. They're going to try to go inside sometime during the movement of the ball as they cross midcourt and look for a shot in there first. If they can't get it, kick it out to take the three or the drive to the basket. And they're an inside-out team. And you think about this, when you bring in all that talent, you would think it'd be an outside-in team most of the time. But they, even going back through the years that John has been there, they go inside-out most every time. And whoever the leading scorer is depends on the way that their opponents are defending them. And Quickly, for instance, this year was not as good early as he was late. And nobody could guard him, so it was very difficult to beat Kentucky late in the season. And Quickly got going the way he did. And also Maxey. Maxey was another guy that just broke out into the opener late. He was that good all along, but he finally got his act together, and they became a great team.
Yeah, I mean, it's so much fun. Again, when Mike Sly said about 6 years ago, SEC's mandate, basketball's got to improve. One last question. And this is from Billy. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties we had earlier.
Yeah.
Billy wants to know, how do coaches prioritize coaching now with three-point shooters versus the bigger players? Is it harder, in your opinion, to find big men nowadays?
Well, it's not hard to find big men, but it's hard to find big men that want to play with their back to the basket.
Yeah.
All of them want to play facing the basket, because you don't go to the NBA as a 6'8" post player unless you're just absolutely a great talent at 6'8". So everybody at 6'8" or around that side, maybe even 6'9", they want to go out and face the goal, because people that play the post in the NBA are in the 7-foot range, most of them. And so nobody wants to play with their back to the basket. So high school players and college players, they realize this too. So no matter what size they are, most of them want to play outside. And they want to face the basket. For one reason only, going to the pros. And another reason is the three-point shot is the name of the game.
Yeah.
And that really is what made basketball change all of a sudden. That three-point line made three-point shooters out of big men, and to me, that's the biggest change in college basketball.
It is a lot of fun. Coach, listen, thank you so much for joining us. Next week when you're on, I want you to think about this, your SEC Player of the Year, and I want you to tell us all your pick next week, and the 2 or 3 best players in the league you thought, and then also on the national level, because there's a lot of interest. But thank you so much. I hope you're doing well, and really appreciate you being on here.
We're just living the life over here with the virus the way it is, and I guess it's doing the same in Memphis. I'll see you next week.
All right, thanks so much, Coach. All right, we're going to head back now and talk about the NFL draft. Jason Campbell, former quarterback with the Redskins and the Raiders, having played his college ball at Auburn. He's a native of Taylorsville, Mississippi, and Jason is going to join us to talk about some of the better quarterbacks that he sees out there that are available for the draft. We all know locally, in the SEC, the guys that, Joe Burrow, good grief, Tua Tagovailoa, he had the hip injury. Seems like could be a top 5 pick, but nice to talk with someone like Jason who has the experience, who's played in the league, and probably can remember, like yesterday, the jitters of getting ready for draft day. So Jason's going to join us, and I thought that was interesting, talking with Coach Smith about everybody wants to face. They don't want to play with their back to the basket now. Next week we're going to talk about the SEC Player of the Year, but right now let's go back to Atlanta and welcome Jason Campbell to the Sidelines. We're going to talk about the NFL draft. I appreciate you joining us, Jason.
Hey, Rob, how you doing? No problem.
Doing great. We're keeping sports going, and we know that they'll be back. And real quick, I talked to you earlier this week. In your opinion, tell people from your perspective, if you were a college athlete, Auburn, Alabama, LSU, Georgia, Ole Miss, doesn't matter where you are, what would you be doing right now, given the circumstances? You can't be there in the weight room with the strength coach right there. How disciplined were you, and what do you think the players are doing right now? And I know they can interact with the coaches via Skype and FaceTime, but give your perspective.
Yeah, I'm talking about, in 2011, we was locked out in the NFL for the whole summer, and we couldn't get back to the facilities until we came to an agreement with the CBA, and that happened maybe a week before training camp was to start.
Mm-hmm.
So for 3 or 4 months, we was on our own. So when you're on your own, it takes a lot of discipline. You have to make sure you're eating right. You have to making sure that you're getting your workouts in, and making sure you're staying on top of everything that you need to stay on, like with your playbook and everything. It's a time that you can study and reflect on what you did. If you're a kid coming out of college, you can reflect on how you're seeing your way. You just watch all your game tapes and feel like, okay, what can I get better at before I get to the next level, and be truthfully honest with yourself. And then the other part of it is, right now you got to have social distance. So a little different than when we was in a lockout. You can still be around other teammates, which now they want you kind of like on your own, or at least having 6 feet away from someone. So if there are guys that may be training maybe a group of 3, and they have a guy that's training them, they're keeping their distance away from each other, they still can get their work in and get their workouts in, and even just going outside and running and exercising. Like these guys, you've been playing football long enough to know how to go outside, and you know what 100 yards look like, what 40 yards look like, to run gassers and run hundreds and stuff, and you pretty much know at this point what it takes to train yourself. So you don't always have to have a trainer that you got to specifically pay to get yourself in shape. You already know what to do.
Yeah, and you think about it, the important football's so different. It's a 12 months a year, and the players get a week and 10 days off at the end of spring semester, and they come back for the 2 5-week summer sessions. It's like that at schools all over the country. Now, and I think a lot of people are wondering, when are we? Nobody's going to know until we know about the college.
Right.
But I believe we'll have a college football season. It may be abbreviated somewhat, but you're 6'5", 235-pound athlete. You were eating at the training table. You had Kevin Yoxel working with you, and your position coaches. In the summer, you had what they call the captain's workouts, kind of the honor system. How much of that can the players translate and do via social media and webcam and all that, to where there'll be something fruitful come out of it? Or can it?
Yeah, because when I was in school, like I said, once you finish your summer workouts before you come back for a season to start the tour days and everything, Coach Josh used to always give us a book, and that book consists of what we're supposed to eat daily and what we're supposed to do as far as our workouts, like what our numbers supposed to look like, how many reps we're supposed to do. So we had all of that stuff with us, and he knew if you did it or not when he got back because he pretty much tested you on all of it, and so you couldn't sit there and just lie about it.
That's right.
And if you couldn't pass the test that he had for you, your butt was going to be doing a whole lot of extra work. So everyone knew to take it serious when we left and make sure you came back in tip-top shape because he was going to test you on it. And for a lot of guys right now, they would be remiss if they think they're going to show up and those coaches not going to test them on what have they been learning from virtual, having interaction with their coaches from a virtual standpoint to giving them plays and sending out these playbooks and stuff to them. And they're going to test them to see how much have they really been indulging their head into that playbook, how much they've really been indulging their bodies into working out because it's going to show. If you're a lineman and you was 305, you come back at 320, 325, and you pretty much haven't been doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
You know, so that's how they're going to base a lot of things.
Yeah, and I can tell you, I mean, just in my running triathlons and coaching kids in cross country and track and field, I always like to tell them, say, look, you can lie to your teammates, you can lie to all of us coaches, you can lie to your parents, you can lie to whoever you want to, but you cannot lie to this race course because that big old long arm will track you down halfway into a 5K or whatever when you're running hills and you're falling apart like a spaghetti noodle because you hadn't trained, you're going to break down. So if that's where character is when nobody else is watching, you're doing what you're supposed to do. Jason, we got to take a quick commercial break to thank our sponsors. We're going to come right back to you and get more into the NFL draft. So hold those thoughts. You're making great points. That's why I love having you on here because you are so good. We'll be right back. You're listening to Sidelines. We'll be with you till 5 o'clock Central, 6 on the East Coast.
She grew up with the children of the stars in the Hollywood Hills and Boulevard.
I like that, man.
Two big parties every Wednesday. They hung out with folks like Dennis Hopper, Bob Seger, and Sonny and shit.
And the snakeskin cowboy.
You should feel safe now.
I want to hear the whole song, man.
Family owned and in business since 1972, Matei's Garage is best known for providing quality automotive repair at a fair and reasonable price. We can accommodate most makes and models, including European and Asian vehicles, as well as all American makes. Our services include everything from basic maintenance, such as oil service and tires, to major engine and transmission service. Located at 4930 Black Road in East Memphis, near Clark Tower, Matei's Garage is open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. And I've known Larry Cervetti, a 1982 Christian Brothers High School graduate and 1986 graduate of the University of Tennessee, for 42 years. It's hard to find someone better than Larry. He's as good as it gets. Check him out on our website, mateisgarage.com. We don't just say we care, we show we care. At Ortho One, that's the motto we live by. We place an emphasis on seeing our patients as quickly as possible without sacrificing quality in the care that each patient deserves. Our experienced orthopedic physicians, all of whom are surgeons, display a genuine interest in your personal health. A concern for your time and a friendly, skilled staff are what you can expect every time you visit one of our offices in Arlington, Collierville, and Olive Branch. Fast, quality care. That's the Ortho One difference. Check them out at ortho1.org.
If you have a crash, sit or ding, go to GE Partisan and BBG. The Tom Martin Body Shop.
I got a feeling that tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good night.
All right, Rob Brown back here with you on Sidelines. We are talking with Jason Campbell in Atlanta, former Auburn and NFL quarterback, 10 years in the league. Average career, Jason's what, 3 years? You made it 10 years and got out on your terms, and you've started some businesses over in Atlanta. Grew up in Taylorsville, Mississippi. You probably can remember the anticipation, the build up to the NFL draft like it was yesterday. Let's talk real quick. The SEC has two of the quarterbacks that everybody in the country is talking about. Joe Burrow at LSU, who transferred from Ohio State, from Athens, Ohio, actually the Plains, Ohio, and then Tua Tagovailoa, who injured his hip in the Mississippi State game in mid-November, but looks like he's made a heck of a recovery. And if you could, I know that Dr. Andrews and the Andrews Orthopedic Group are now working not just with Auburn, but also with Alabama. How good are those doctors, and what kind of care do you think Tua got and is continuing to get as he gets ready for the draft?
Yeah, I think because they took immediate reaction once he got injured. They had to do like immediate surgery and everything. I think it happened to a point where it was early enough, well, it was kind of late in the season a little bit, but it was enough in the season where he still had some time to recover and not rush his process for pro day and everything like that. So it still gave him plenty of opportunity, to let his body heal up. And is he always 100% already 100% healthy? No, I don't think he's 100% healthy. But when you play in the National Football League, no one's 100% healthy each and every week you play. So I think he's a tough-minded kid, and when you look at him and everything, he presents a lot of leadership ability. So I think Dr. Andrews, they're one of the best guys been around when it comes to having to deal with things like that. And as far as the surgeries and recovery and everything, I think, he was in good hands and everything. I think because of his faith as well, his body healed a lot faster. So,
That's right.
He's in a good position heading into the draft because the one thing we already know, they're probably not going to have OTA. And, OTA is something after they get drafted. Next week they have a mini camp, and then they usually kick off into the OTA where all the vets and stuff come in. And the way things are looking right now, you're talking about that starts in May. That's probably unlikely. So, the first time he may get back on the field with some guys will probably be June, July, depending on how everything transpires the next couple of weeks with the pandemic. But, he's a guy, definitely from a mentality standpoint and from a guy that just, he knows how to take care of his business. And he gets to show you, Rob, that he was disciplined as well in the recovery. You have to be disciplined. You have to eat right. You have to do all the exercise. Then you have to do a little bit of stuff on your own. And I think those are some of the things he probably did.
Yeah, he seems like he is really he's so strong in his faith. He's a good man. I'm pulling for him. Another one I really like is Joe Burrow, who transferred down to LSU and had one of the greatest seasons, maybe the greatest season ever. Quarterback, over 60 touchdown passes, 15-0 record. The year before, he completed about 54% of his passes. But, Jason, I think you can relate to that. In your time as a starter at Auburn, you had 4 offensive coordinators in 4 years, and you still were an NFL first-round draft pick. Joe Burrow in the NFL, we know the teams that are most likely, the 2 or 3 to take him, but how do you think his game translates to the NFL?
I think the best thing for Joe Burrow is he played in the SEC and he played in a pro-style offense. This year he played in a New Orleans Saints offense. That's pretty much what it was. Joe Brady came over from Saints and with Sean Payton and different things they do offensively and how they move the ball is so tough on defenses because you can't key on one thing. And I think for him it's going to be having to get in the right situation, the right fit. And I say that because sometimes the young quarterback, you can get thrown to the wrong place at the wrong time, wrong situation. And then people go, that kid didn't work out. Well, sometimes it's not always the kid. Sometimes it's just everything around the kid is going on. And I think when you look at him, you have those receivers in Jefferson, and you have the defense, and then those corners and safeties that are really good. So he was surrounded with a bunch of great players. But at the same time, I watched him when he played against Auburn. Auburn was one of the best defenses he probably faced all year. And a pro-style type defense. And when you look at how he moved in the pocket, how he got hit, got back up, stood back in the pocket, and still made throws after throws in crucial situations, I said, okay, this kid can play on Sundays because that's how it is each and every Sunday. It's the game how he played against Auburn. It's how it is week in and week out in the NFL. So, he's definitely, throw 60 touchdowns and put some of the numbers that he put up by not having a lot of self confidence and everything, and then have that leadership as well. But the one thing about him, he's so mentally strong, and I can tell he's mentally strong because man, he just keeps bringing it, keeps bringing it. I know everyone try to compare him to Brady from a mindset. Well, you think about his mindset, how he competes and how he believes in himself. And he always says it when you listen to him or when you watch him play, you just see it and also hear it when he talks. So he's another kid that I'm pulling for. Like I said, the SEC is going to be well represented with those two guys this year coming out, going to the pros, and probably both of them probably top 5 draft picks. And I wish both of them have success.
Jason, outside of these two quarterbacks from the SEC, obviously Jake Fromm's going to be in the draft. A couple of other quarterbacks that you think are NFL ready that you saw play this year. Maybe you didn't see them play, but you've read about them and you think that they're going to show up big on draft day.
I think the kid Love out of Utah State. I think he's an intriguing story. I think a lot of people don't really know a whole lot about him because he's on the West Coast, not a lot of primetime TV games. But the kid, he can run, he can throw, he has a good arm. And I think he's the guy that can kind of sneak in there as that third quarterback taken in the draft. I know a lot of people like the kid from Oregon and everything. And he's a proto style quarterback. He's tall. Auburn played against him in the first game and everything. So he's another kid that could be right there at 3 or 4 as well. So I think those two guys will be competing between the third or the fourth quarterback taken, and both of them probably go somewhere in the first round. Depending on who's the pick and where the pick falls at, what the team needs. Oh, you talk about Jake Fromm. Jake was a guy that kind of shocked me a little bit this year. I thought he may come back for his senior year, but I guess when you see all your offensive linemen gone and you're running back who have gone to the pros, I guess you're probably like, well, I'm going to go ahead and take my chances now. The only reason I say that is because his freshman year was such an outstanding year.
Yeah.
And his sophomore year was a good year as well. And his junior year wasn't as good as those 2 years. But at the same time, I think, he feel like he's ready to go take the next step. So, he's a guy that, he doesn't have a strong arm, but he's a smart kid. He can pick up any system. And I can probably see him going in, starting off being a quality backup, starting off, and then maybe he gets his opportunity in the right place at the right time and see how it goes.
Jason, when you get to the NFL, and one of my buddies, David Hager, he knows the NFL really well, and he's got a lot of questions he wanted me to ask you. And one of them was, did it benefit you to sit a year, or would you like to have played from day one? And talk about the learning curve when you go from college to pro football. And also, so we're talking about sitting and then the learning curve. The last one is, of all the players that are available for the NFL draft, and maybe it is Joe Burrow, maybe it's Tua Tagovailoa, but who is the best player you think that is available for the NFL draft? And can anything prepare you? And did you ever get hit by Ray Lewis, and what was that like?
That's a good question. I would probably say, yes, I did get hit by Ray Lewis. I remember that. It was a Sunday night game in Baltimore. And Bills came on an A-gap blitz, and the center and the guard both went to the 3 technique. And the center never came back to take the A-gap blitz.
Yeah.
And I got derailed right in the sternum, right in my chest. I remember feeling, I felt it for like a couple of weeks even after that, and everything. So, that was tough. I think transfer from college to the pros, the biggest thing that I would say is learning how to deal with your time away from practice. There's no schoolwork. There's no classroom. Like, this is a business. This is your job. You're there from 6:30 in the morning. Most days about 5 o'clock in the evening, 5:30 in the evening. So when you're home, you have to learn how to study film on your own. You have to learn how to. When you're at the facility, a lot of stuff is input what you do, what we're supposed to do. So a lot of things you have to learn about defense while you're at home if you're on offense, and vice versa the other way. is that you have to do a lot of self-study at home
Yeah.
on situation football. When they like to bring certain blitzes, when they like to, how they like to play against certain guys, they quote as a top receiver, what coverages you expect to get. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of things you have to learn on your own. The other question for the best player, I think, in this draft, that's a tough one. Not being biased, I really do like, Derek Brown, just because I think he can disrupt a lot of things for offenses because he's a guy that he can play the run game, but he also can play the passing game and still get off the quarterback. So he's the guy that's going to demand some double teams early on. He kind of reminds me of an early Donaldson too. In his early part of his career,
Yeah.
A guy that people have to they took notice because
Yeah.
the guy could get the ball.
Yeah.
And, I see the same thing with Derek Brown. His way to get off the ball. So he's the guy that Chase Young is the guy that's kind of interesting because you see what the two Bosa brothers did come out of Ohio
Yes.
State. You look at him, he's like, okay, the league is made off who can rush the quarterback and who can cover the receiver. It's a passing game now. So, he's the guy that he has the physique, he has the body style type. Of course, he didn't do that much against Clemson, but at the same time, what is he gonna bring to the table? He is a guy that you look at and you're like, oh man, this guy he could change the game if he wanted to.
Yeah.
So those are two guys. I know I went defense on you, but
yeah, no, I like that.
It's okay because these guys they are those type of players.
Hey, listen, Jason, we want to get you back on next week and continue this because this is great information. And I tell you, you're just a great example of somebody who worked his tail off and you had to deal with some adversity, 4 coordinators in 4 years, still a first-round draft pick, 10 years in the league, and you know the game well, and your insight is invaluable. And so, God love you, man. We want you back on the show again anytime you can be on. And so next Friday, let's do this again because the draft is upon us. We've got to go to another guest. Philip Marshall's going to be on here with us talking about kind of the landscape out here in college football. But thank you so much. And how can people follow you on social media?
Yeah, they can follow me on my Instagram. It's J Campbell, just J, my last name Campbell, then 17.
Okay.
Numeral 17.
All right.
Twitter is just JCam_17.
Okay, Jason, thank you so much. Look forward to having you next week. Let's go now to Philip Marshall. Philip's been writing for over 50 years. Knows the sports in the Southeastern Conference and college football and the landscape better than anybody. He is the writer emeritus for AU Undercover. Philip, welcome. And what is this, day 16 of social isolation?
Okay, that's columnist emeritus, not writer.
Okay.
I'm still a writer, I believe.
Okay.
I thought of it anyway.
Okay. No, you were a great writer.
Day 18.
Man,
That's correct.
it's tough, isn't it?
It's not so bad.
A lot of reading, though. A lot of reading, a lot of chance to read and to write. I think it's kind of fun.
I don't know what I call it fun, but I mean, I can still work and I can still do. It's and fortunately, my wife of 44 years and my youngest son and I we get along pretty well, and she's the warden around here, and she won't let me go anywhere, so I'm stuck.
I got you. You're doing a series of columns over your memories over the last 50 years of covering college football and sports, and you've got a rich history in writing. Your father, Benny Marshall, was the sports editor of the Birmingham News. It's in your blood. You grew up in Coach Bryant and Coach Jordan's presence, and you've seen so much happen. This is the first time any of us, my dad can remember 1943. He was 15. No college football that season during World War II. What is this like for you, and your reflections on these different games has been an inspiration, and it does make you appreciate so much more than I think we ever have what we have and why it's so special.
Well, it's obviously this is unprecedented for anybody. It's nobody really saw it coming, and until they canceled the NCAA tournament, and that's a pretty obvious. I mean, that's a huge financial hit, especially for the NCAA itself, which basically runs off the money from the NCAA basketball tournament. And but it's almost
I have an issue really with worrying too much about money and whatever. Don't get me wrong. I understand there are lots of people out there who are very worried about money because they have been laid off their job and they don't know how they're going to pay the rent and those things. And I really, really pray and feel for those people. And I'm very grateful to not be in that position, mainly because I'm 70 years old. There's been times in my life when I would have been in that position. And so, it's beyond sports, and really sports is the least important part of this. But from the standpoint of not having college football possibly, or not having any sports at all of any kind right now, it's very strange, surreal almost, and if there's not a college football season, then that'll create a whole different set of disasters for college sports, and who knows where it's going? I don't know.
That's right. I mean, it's the question. And I know last week Kirk Herbstreit made a comment, and that's his opinion. And I want you to expand on it because you did a great job in one of your columns this week. He said he doesn't think we're going to have a football season this year, and now that becomes a big story. And I like what you said about that.
Well, this is something that's happened in this business in recent years. It's very different than when the 38 years for sure that I was in the newspaper business we didn't interview each other. That's not something we did. We didn't write stories about what some other newspaper said or what somebody on some TV station said. Now, if somebody wrote a story, a factual story, or they said, I mean, that's fine. But Kirk either did not in any way claim that it was a factual story. He just stated his opinion.
Yeah.
And I got no problem if somebody wants to take what I wrote and say, hey, I don't agree with this opinion. That's fine. But to act like it's any more than an opinion just because it's Kirk Herbstreit, I mean, he didn't claim to have any inside sources. He just said it his opinion. Well, you know what? In my opinion, the way things stand right now, they could not possibly have a football season right now. And nobody knows what it's going to be like in July or August or whatever. So that's all anybody has is an opinion. And I got no problem with his opinion. I got no problem with people who disagree with his opinion. But that's what it is. It's opinion, isn't it? Just because Kirk Herbstreit says it doesn't make the news. There is an outlet here that reports, that basically covers everything Paul Feinbaum says. It says Feinbaum says this, Feinbaum says that, as if it's news. Well, it's not news. It's his opinion. And he's made a lot of money giving his opinion, and I'm not criticizing him either.
Sure.
But what he says is not news. It's an opinion.
That's right.
If you want to comment on your opinion, I write an opinion column. That's my opinion. It's not news. And that's just my feeling about it, and that's probably because I'm old. But to be clear, I'm in no way criticizing Kirk Herbstreit for what he said. That's fine. That's his opinion.
That's right.
And that's part of what he's paid to do is give his opinion, just like it's part of what I'm paid to do to give my opinion. And his opinion about college football at the national level is probably better informed than mine is. But he never did claim that he knew anything. He just said that was his opinion.
Yeah, and Philip, I agree. And I want to say this too. I grew up, and you grew up, the old SEC, the Skyriders tour. Y'all got on a plane, and you went and you visited all the schools, and the great writers, you were one of them, your father, Alf Van Hoos, Jimmy Himes, so many writers, Jimmy Adams from the Knoxville News, Sentinel, Furman Bisher from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, Jack Hairston from the Gainesville Sun. You know all these people. Y'all got together, and you would go to, your father would go to Coach Bryant's office and sit on the couch and just interview him and talk to him. And I appreciate that so much more now than I ever did back then when that was the way it was. But talk about how special those relationships were that you had with the coaches and the players, and how you all could go out to practice and give your opinion as opposed to a condensed version that you not necessarily signed off on.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was totally different, and that's not all fault of journalists now, because coaches are a lot more paranoid now. They're all getting rich, and well, not all of them. Most of the ones we cover are getting rich, and or are rich already, and we're limited in the players we can talk to, and it's very difficult to talk to assistant coaches. And I mean, I talked to some of them, but not in a manner of I don't vote them because they're not supposed to be talking to.
Yeah.
But and the other thing is that's changed dramatically is that again, and I know I'm sounding old here. In my days in the newspaper business, the editorial side of business and the news side of business, the editorial side of business, were totally separate. There was a firewall between them. People have always said, well, he just said that trying to sell newspapers. Well, I never wrote a story trying to sell newspapers because it didn't do me any good. And nobody from the circulation department or the advertising department or wherever came to me and said, hey, we need to write about this or that. It happened. And so I was not me, just, I mean, all of us. We were not in the business of making money, or write stories to make money. And now we're all in the business of writing stories to make money because it's a whole different thing. The newspaper business was ran on advertising, not on circulation. You did good if you broke even on circulation. But the more circulation you had, the more you could charge for ads. Now it's the model is much more of a subscription based thing where you want subscriptions, you want people to come to your page, to stay on your page, you click on stories, and because all those things result in more money for advertisers and more money for and most of the money comes from subscriptions. So it's a completely different thing, and it's changed on the end of the people we cover, and it's changed on our end. And I would like to say maybe it would ever change, but it's not going to change. And I look back over the most fun I probably ever had was covering high school. Because they were glad to see you coming, and that's not the way it is now, but that's okay. And right now, kind of with this, I mean, we're all in this together. It's like I said, there's a lot more important things to worry about than its impact on sports.
Yeah, you're right, and I think too that you look out here, it's about the relationships that you have, and you've been able to meet so many coaches and players over the years, and right now it's a time for people to really look inward and reflect on these great games and the traditions that we have, not just in the Southeastern Conference, but all over the country. Going forward, and I know we've kept you a while, but going forward, what do you think the narrative is going to be? And the way Mark Emmert and the NCAA delivered the decision, no basketball tournament, I understand about the virus and safety and all like that, but I heard, and you can expand on it, they didn't really talk to the conference commissioners. They just, boom, here's the decision, kind of a scripted message. And what do you think is going to happen?
I think that it was the basketball decision. I think there definitely was consultations, and I don't think it surprised anybody. What surprised the commissioners and the ADs, and look, as it turned out, it was the right decision. So let's be clear about that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But they were shocked when the spring sports thing came without any consultation at all. And they found out about it just like the rest of us found out about it when the NCAA issued a statement. And there were a lot of them that were not happy about that, and some of them were quite angry about that. And I don't really understand why it was done that way. I mean, you could take 20 minutes and call the conference commissioners and say, hey, here's what we think we've got to do. Yeah. And at least they would have known. But Mark Emmert has done one interview with ESPN.com, and other than that, he's been doing whatever he does, and that's the way he does business. And I'm not sure it's the best way. In fact, I'm sure it's not the best way. I mean, he's not going to expose himself to hard questions. And I mean, even though coaches to a great extent would like to not have to put up with any of us a lot of times, probably 99% of them, if not 100%, still get up once a week and during football season and take whatever questions come their way. And Mark Emmert doesn't seem to have the willingness or the I don't say that, but he just doesn't seem to have the willingness to do that, and that's unfortunate. But it is what it is, and you know, yeah, we all miss sports, and not having a football season would be really, even all of it is hard to get your hands around. But if you can't, you can't, and then what happens after that will be extremely interesting to see, because it will change college athletics forever. I'm convinced of that, because football is what pays all the bills. I mean, so it's just like keeping it in the SEC. They all make money off basketball, and so some make a little money off baseball, and most probably are closer to breaking even on baseball. And outside of that, it is all outgo.
Yeah,
they don't make money off anything, any other sport. They make no money. I mean, I love to watch college softball, and I think it's a great game. And the interest in it has grown tremendously, but it's certainly not making money. Neither a golf or whatever sports you want to name of the non-revenue sports, and well, they're called non-revenue sports, but
Olympic sports.
Yeah. So football pays. The basketball tournament, the NCAA, the organization runs off the NCAA basketball tournament, because they get no money. That's something a lot of other people also don't understand is the NCAA
Jimmy Hodge
from college football, nothing, zero. And that's the way it's been since first the TV rights got taken away in court in 1984, and then the blue sense that had basically left the Power 5 conferences able to control their own destiny. So like the college football playoff, I've heard people say, well, the NCAA wants Alabama, or they want, the NCAA doesn't care. They have nothing to do with it, and they get nothing out of it. So there's a lot of misunderstanding about things, but without football, it would completely change everything. And even if it's just 1 year, which you would expect, you know, to lose that CBS TV money, to lose all the money you make from various things, selling memorabilia, tickets, and donations, and all that stuff. I mean, Auburn's athletic budget was $150 million a year. Football brought in some 90-something million of that. It's like I said, it pays for everything. And without it, I don't know what they'll do or how they'll go about doing it, but it will be a big mess, and it won't be something you can overcome and say, okay, well, glad that's over now. It's 2021. We go back to life as usual. It's not going to be that way, because all these facilities that are being built all around the country, with a couple of exceptions, and the exceptions are not who you would think they are.
Yep.
They are built to a great extent with borrowed money.
Yeah.
I mean, they call it a bond issue. But a bond issue is borrowed money.
It's debt. It's debt service.
And it has to be paid.
Yeah.
The debt service has to be paid, and if the athletic department can't pay it, then the university's going to have to pay it. And I promise you, there's a lot of nervous presidents.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And that's not to mention coaches making $10 million a year.
That's right. The money has to come from somewhere. Hey, Philip, look, thank you so much for being on. We want to get you on again here in the next week or two, because where you're going, you're making great points, and I agree with you. That's the big question. Fundraising, money, it's all got to come from somewhere. Real quick, how can people follow you on social media and read your columns and your insight?
Well, my Twitter account is pmarsh at pmarsh on AU is my Twitter handle. But let me know when anybody wants to follow me on Twitter. I pretty much link stories. That's pretty much what I do on Twitter. I'm not a Twitter guy. I don't get on there and get in conversations or really even state any opinions. Mostly what I do is just link stories. Our website, of course, is offer.247force.com. Certainly, it's not just me. I think a lot of people have done a really great job on our site of coming up with interesting things to write during this time, and it's it's an unprecedented thing for all of us. It's hard to. I mean, news is what is most important, and there is none. As far as no games being played or any of that, but I'm on Facebook too. So, but it's the same thing. I don't. If you want to see my opinion, you need to go to our website, because that's where my opinion shows up.
Well, I read it every day, and you are incredible at what you do. And thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to having you on, and we'll enjoy our time in isolation and get out and walk and do whatever. But you were just great to be on here with us, and we really appreciate your time.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right, you bet. All right, let's take a quick commercial break. You are listening to Sidelines. Let's take a word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back with Jimmy Hodge, one of our contributors up in Chicago. Sidelines. We got another 30 minutes to go. Hey, you got big plans for tonight or the weekend? Stop by Cardosi Liquors, 3327 Jackson Avenue. Check out their supply of beer, liquor, and wine. They're open every day, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. That's Cardosi Liquor, 3327 Jackson Avenue. Whether it's installing motion detector lights, a home theater system, security cameras, or you can't up the new TV you just bought, George Gaddis can. Go online and make an appointment today. That's GATTAS, GaddisHomeInnovations.com.
Your new kitchen looks fabulous.
I couldn't have done it without the Kitchens Unlimited team. They captured my style and kept it within my budget.
I just love the materials you used. Were you ever worried how it would look?
No, not at all. My designer provided detailed drawings and made sure I understood everything. Their great service continues after the install. I got a custom kitchen with the exact style and details I wanted.
Wow, it sounds like you're going to miss them.
Not for long. They also do bathrooms.
You can reach the Kitchens Unlimited team at 3550 Summer Avenue or on the web at kitchensunlimited.net.
Okay, Jeff Thomas should be calling in too, I think. All right, Ron Brown back here with you. Sidelines. That's a little Bon Jovi. I think that's Audrey's favorite group is John Bon Jovi. She's always admired how he takes such good care of himself, works out. And I think Audrey, he's been married to the same woman for what, 25, 30 years? They went to high school together. That was a great concert that we saw. Shane the Snakeskin Cowboy in there, still waiting for Ted Nugent to come back to the Mid-South Coliseum and have an 80s or 70s concert reunion. But now, let's head up to Chicago talked to Jimmy Hodge, one of our contributors, talking about college football. And Jimmy, I know when you were on hold, you got to hear some of Philip Marshall's comments and insight. And I think he's just one heck of a writer. He's one of the best I read. I read him regularly. He's got such tradition in his family with his dad, Benny Marshall, former sports editor of the Birmingham News. And, what a lucky kid. Grew up being in the house with Coach Bryant and Coach Jordan and Coach Dooley and all these legends that have shaped the game and made it what it is today, isn't it?
Yeah, sure was. I believe Benny was pretty much an Alabama guy, wasn't he?
Oh yeah. I mean, listen.
And,
look, you got to be on one side of the fence in that state at birth.
That's right. Well, that's why, the way as Philip's, career progressed, it was, I always found it interesting that I just didn't see him, being on the Auburn side of the ledger, and he's covered them, I guess, for the better part of 40 years.
Yeah, and he's 51 years now as a writer, and he's got such great insight. And I had a guy tell me back in the summer, when you have print journalists, writers on radio or TV, they're typically the best guests you'll have. Because, and Philip's a great example of this, they think about what they're saying because they've written it. And my mother used to say, listen, you want to learn something? Write it on paper. Because when you transfer it from your brain to paper, that application makes you think about it. It's just like it's hard to remember directions someplace when you're a passenger in the vehicle, but you never forget when you drive.
Yeah, and when you write something on paper, I mean, it's there,
Yeah.
It can't be changed.
Yeah.
As lots of times conversations can be switched.
Yeah.
Or misinterpreted, and then a story being told originally, when it goes to the next person, and then it's transmitted to the next person, and the next person, and the next person, you don't even know that the same people were involved.
That's right.
I mean, at the beginning of the story.
It gets twisted around.
Yeah, and that's why I think the sports writers back in the day were so revered. You didn't have the internet and so forth, but the internet, though, has changed so many things, because now the heavyweight football programs, I mean, just when you talk about the SEC, I'm guessing every school for football has a minimum of 5 or 6 websites.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
For their fan base to choose from. And then some of these fans, they'll subscribe, some of the heavy hitters, maybe to all of them, and then others to 2 or 3, and that's certainly changed things.
Well, I mean, I can tell you right now, you look at the internet started back in the mid 90s, really, and people would say the interweb, or whatever Al Gore told us we could have it. But
you just took the words out of my mouth. After Al invented it, things have never been the same.
Yeah, and you think about, we took a sweeping turn with social media and all that stuff. I had to put that line in for Uncle Jeff listening to the radio here. Dr. Spreckelmeyer gave that turn. You take a sweeping turn up there at the right. But it changed everything, and I think that's when, because I can remember, Jimmy, going down on the practice field as a student reporter for the Plainsman at Auburn, and you multiply the school anywhere in the country. You took practice notes, okay? The coach would come over, he'd wipe the sweat off his brow, and they'd say, Coach, any comments, anything stand out in practice today? And Coach would look at you and go, well, it's hot. Any players, anybody separating themselves in the quarterback race? And they'd say, well, what'd you think? I mean, now you don't do that anymore. I miss those great the relationships. And Philip, 51 years, he's seen it both ways, and he still continues to be just one of the elite writers in his insight. But we talked about Kirk Herbstreit's comment last week. I don't think there's going to be a season. I do believe we'll have one. It may be shorter than normal, but we're going to have a football season.
That's really an interesting subject, because you're surprisingly, you're hearing at least from what I have seen, an alarming percentage of athletic directors that are very concerned about it. The reason being is that unless everybody follows these guidelines, we're really in danger, because you can't have one person who hasn't been following these social distance guidelines and staying away from people and paying attention to how they cough and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
You just can't take it for granted, because we're talking now huge numbers of people. We're talking a nation of 330 million people, and all it takes is just a small percentage of people that aren't paying attention to what they need to be doing, and it just takes one person to spread it, and then another. As a matter of fact, I just had I just learned an hour ago. One of my mom's closest friends growing up, her son-in-law just passed from the China virus. Just because of a group of people that didn't. They went somewhere out of state and shouldn't have, and came back. It was a fairly large gathering of people, and all it takes is one person to spread it.
Yeah.
And when and these ADs and these college presidents at these Power 5 conference programs are well aware that if they have the same goal as the NFL does, to try to start the season on time, if everything goes perfectly, you're talking about stadiums that have 100,000 people.
Yeah.
And that is a nightmare for administrators. If they don't feel 100% confident that nobody in that stadium is in danger, of catching this, or that we're out of the woods, or that this hydroxychloroquine is working, and there's been enough of it out there to get this under control. So that's why in this next 2 to 4 weeks, it's really critical, because we're starting to be able to test enough people that you can, if there is a leveling off or even a downtrend. So it's really right now, everything's up in the air, and nobody even wants to think that, but it really is kind of where we're at right now. But I do think that if people pay attention and listen to the medical experts, people that have been dealing with this, like Dr. Fauci, Dr. Birx, who have been dealing with epidemics like this going back to the AIDS virus in the mid-'80s, listen to what they're saying.
I agree, and just the thought of you could have fans, just like in church services, people are going to be driving through, and Palm Sunday and Easter, it's a different time. But when the games resume, the appetite, people are going crazy right now. I think the interest is going up, and I'm looking at all these websites. I look at 24/7 Sports frequently, and I look in there and I see a lot of stories about now that the coaches can interact with the student athletes. What a positive that is, and I totally agree, because these athletes didn't get to be Division I players at all these top schools without working their butts off.
Cordelli dropped off.
Okay, and they're fairly intelligent. And I look here at the narrative, and Philip Marshall loves to say you can either be a prisoner of the moment or you can fight your way out. And Jimmy, we're going to fight our way out of this, but we do need to pay attention, and also stand by with us for a second. I'm going to say something about a couple of our sponsors. We're going to take a quick commercial break, Jimmy, and I want you to hold with us. But I want to say Pimentos and Holiday Ham, they are open for business. 6450 Poplar Avenue, Pimentos. Those people up there make great food, burgers, wings, quesadillas. They make the tuna fish, which is like my grandmother, like Mimi's. It's got the pickles in it. It's delicious. The best pimento cheese I have ever had. I love it. They are open on Poplar, 6450 Poplar Avenue, till 6 p.m., 3751 South Houston Levee in Collierville till 8 with the drive-thru. All the Holiday Ham locations are open. They have a drive-in window on Union at Cooper. They're open till 8 o'clock at night. Check them out, Holiday Ham and Pimentos. Support our restaurants. They feed us. Also, Rocky's Alterations, 1866 Poplar Crest Cove. Man, I hear Tom Petty in the background. By the way, Jimmy, I was at his concert in May of 2017 with Audrey here at the FedEx Forum. Guy played for 4 days, I think, nonstop. It was unreal. But Rocky's Alterations, 1866 Poplar Crest Cove, right behind Mecca Eye Care. If it involves a needle or a thread, anything, you want to look like a sharp-dressed man, woman, they can fix anything. This is Rocky. He's the nephew of Richard Capadia, who was at Joseph A. Banks for about 30 years. Anything that involves a needle and thread, check them out. Go check them out. And also want to say something about, again, all of our sponsors. Tom Martin's Body Shop, they are open. They will pick up your car, meet you anywhere. Tom Martin's Body Shop, Gaddis Home Innovations, Matei's Garage, all these businesses are open. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back with more with Jimmy Hodge. You're listening and watching Sidelines on a Friday afternoon. Family owned and in business since 1972, Matei's Garage is best known for providing quality automotive repair at a fair and reasonable price. We can accommodate most
Jeff from Allentown, Pennsylvania,
and Asian vehicles, as well as all American makes. Our services include everything from basic maintenance, such as oil service and tires, to major engine and transmission service. Located at 4930 Black Road in East Memphis, near Clark Tower, Matei's Garage is open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. And I've known Larry Cervetti, a 1982 Christian Brothers High School graduate and 1986 graduate of the University of Tennessee, for 42 years. It's hard to find someone better than Larry. He's as good as it gets. Check him out on our website, mateisgarage.com.
Hey listeners, it's Chris Murphy with Inman Murphy Termite and Pest Control. It's been a mild winter, so the bugs are going to be bad. And you know we're here to take care of you and your home. Give us a call today at 388-0852. That's 388-0852. And we can handle all the termites, ants, mosquitoes, and everything in between. It's going to be bad. You need to be prepared. Don't let the bugs ruin your summer. Give us a call today at 388-0852. That's 388-0852. Or check us out on the web at inman-murphy.com and take charge of your home.
Hey, you got big plans for tonight or the weekend? Stop by Cardosi Liquors, 3327 Jackson Avenue. Check out their supply of beer, liquor, and wine. They're open every day, 11 a.m. till 11 p.m. That's Cardosi Liquor, 3327 Jackson Avenue. Man, I tell you what, Golden Earring, that is man, you talk about a blast from the 80s. That one was played for Uncle Jeff. I tell you what, over there on Kinsman, I think that's where they are right now, eating bratwurst, dancing in their lederhosen, celebrating day 17 of Solitary. Snakeskin Cowboy in there in the studio doing his magical thing as always. Maybe we could close out, if we're lucky, with a little Ted Nugent. Like I said, never forget in 6th grade, buddy of mine saw him at Six Flags. He goes, man, I saw Ted Nugent. Blue jean, bell bottoms, no shoes, no shirt. His hair was down to his waist, hadn't had a shower in probably 2 weeks, and he was just a total trip. Snakeskin Cowboy, you're behind the mask in there. You look like Omar Sharif or a bank robber. But that was a great time. But we're going to be joined now by a guest. Jeff Thomas is calling us from Allentown, Pennsylvania. And I know I've heard it, the Billy Joel song, and we're living here in Allentown. Jimmy knows, and we all know, and our listeners know, I cannot sing. But Jeff Thomas, you're a big Penn State fan. We're Memphis SEC heavy, and whoever your favorite team is, and we welcome everyone because we're all interconnected. SEC, Big Ten, you name it. And I think it's a constant battle, in my opinion. SEC, Big Ten, and who's the best conference in America. Welcome to the show, Jeff Thomas, and let's talk some Nittany Lions football. We're going to have a football season, and I want to hear what your take is on it.
Yeah. Hey, Rob, thanks for having me. Enjoy your show. We're getting psyched here at the Big Ten about college football, and, you know, a lot of us feel like we're going to have football, so I'm not going to entertain the whole idea that we're not. And, you know, James Franklin has had a heck of a recruiting year. He's known for his recruiting. And if you can look at the stats, you know, that bears out. You know, of course, we got some great games lined up this season. We play Michigan on October 3rd, and of course Ohio State on October 24th. And I think all us Penn State fans feel like we need to get over that hurdle of beating Ohio State, because they're kind of the big dog in the Big Ten, just like Alabama has been the big dog, and now that's certainly debatable based on last season. But you know, we're looking forward to it, and I think if Penn State's been kind of one of those top 10 teams in the last 4 years. They've made a New Year's Six bowl game 3 out of the last 4 years, and one year they knocked on the playoffs, and I think this year they want to take it to the next level. And so we're looking forward to the season, and you know, enjoy your show, and we'll be checking in with you and reporting in on Big Ten football.
Hey, Jimmy Hodge, I know you're up in Chicago, and you cover and follow football in the SEC and all over the country, and you got some questions about Penn State, and I think he's right. Ohio State is about to be challenged by the Nittany Lions.
Well, I'll say this, as much as it pains me to say this, I am stunned at where Ohio State is right now compared to where I thought they would be a year ago. Ryan Day has just done a sensational job there. Bringing in Jeff Hafley as defensive coordinator, and even though he was just there that one season, I thought it totally transformed their program, because in the urban years, it seemed like they always won the close games. But then they had that one disastrous outing where they give up 55 to an unranked Iowa team. They give up 49 to an unranked Purdue team. And last year, defensively, it just seemed like they never had players out of position. And of course, it didn't help having players like Chase Young and Akuda and so forth. But when those guys are constantly where they're supposed to be, and they play sound fundamental football, I thought their players just responded to that coaching staff a lot better than they did, you know, in the Urban years. And again, it's really hard to argue with Urban's record, but they had so many close games that I didn't think should have been close. And man, last year, they just took care of business against pretty much everybody.
Jeff, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah. Well, yeah, those are all good points. And Ohio State had a great recruiting year, and it'll be interesting to see how they continue on from the urban years. And it sounds like they're a solid program, and they're the program that everybody else in the Big Ten has gunning for. You know, Wisconsin and now Michigan. I think you're going to hear from Nebraska, maybe not this next year, but the year after. They had a decent recruiting year. And I'm a little concerned about Michigan State. They made a coaching change, and we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Jeff, let me ask you this. The job that James Franklin's doing up at Penn State is remarkable. I mean, considering, you know, Bill O'Brien, we talked yesterday about that, he stayed there a couple of years, and he sort of righted the ship. And now he's down with, you know, went to the NFL. But James Franklin's a Pennsylvania native. What makes him so damn good as not just a coach, but a great recruiter and a great evaluator of talent?
Yeah, that's a great question. He's certainly good in all those areas, but I think he genuinely cares about the players. And when he's interacting with the players, I think that comes across. And people see that, hey, this guy, he cares about me as a person, and as well as my performance on the field. And I think when he goes in and sits in the living room of one of those hotshot high school football players, I think the mom, they pick up on those vibes, and certainly the dad, and I think he goes in and sells him and wins him over, and he's a charismatic guy, and I think that's why they're doing such a good job recruiting, and I think he looks at the heart of the player, not just the stats they put up, and that's why he got Trace McSorley to come up. Trace, he's the definition of grit and heart and hard work and determination. And so I think he just connects with people in that special way. And now you could say a guy who's a good recruiter may not be strong in other areas. Like, for example, we're trying to figure out if how good he is on those big game days, when it comes down to fourth quarter and the game's close, and they gotta come up with something and close it out, and they've struggled in those situations in the past, especially against Penn State, or I'm sorry, Ohio State, and so I think but the university loves him because he runs a clean program, and so I think everybody's happy across the board. And if he never makes the playoffs, I think people are still going to love him and support him and let him coach there for as long as he wants to. I think some people would shoot me for saying that, but I think he's so good in these other areas that would be the case.
Yeah, I tell you, he won 9 games twice at Vanderbilt. Okay, that's like having a national championship hockey team from the Everglades. Okay, it's not very easy to do, is it, Jimmy?
No, and I'll tell you another thing that stands out to me about Franklin, and I think why it resonates with his players, is that he does a great job of creating that perception throughout his roster of playing with a chip on their shoulder. Because Franklin is one of these guys that, and Jeff knows this among the coaching community, some guys like him, some guys don't. And coaches that don't like you tend to be the ones that he beats all the time, and yet he doesn't care what people think. His perception out there is kind of being eccentric. I know when he first took the Vandy job, he went away from the more or less accepted blueprint of bringing in experienced coaches. He brought in a lot of young coaches with new ideas and so forth. And I know his first year, they played in Tuscaloosa, and after the game, Saban mentioned that how impressed he was with their coaching staff and how they came in there and didn't worry about the aura of playing at Bryant-Denny. They just went out there, executed, played with enthusiasm, and tried not to, be focused on who the opponent was and just concentrate on what they should be doing. And he's really a coach that's great at that, and I'm sure that resonates a lot with the Penn State fan base.
It certainly does.
Jeff, let me say one thing. We're about out of time. We got about a minute to go, and to Jimmy as well. I know a lot of Alabama fans that have gone up to Penn State and played the game up there. They had that 10-year series, 79, or actually 80 through 89, through the 80s. It was a 10-year contract. And I remember that game in 89 when Thomas Ram, a 6'7", 295-pound defensive tackle from Orlando, either Evans or Dr. Phillips High School, blocked a field goal, and I think Alabama won that game 18-17 or 19-17. because I was watching it with my coworker Reese Davis, who's on ESPN now, on a Saturday afternoon, and the young reporters, like I was, had to go in there and help do the production of the newscast. But man, I've always heard great things about the Penn State people. Great program, and I told you, my youngest son Max, when he was about 11 for Christmas, asked for a windstopper windbreaker like Joe Paterno wore and some black, thick birth control glasses. But hey, it's a lasting legacy around the country, Jeff.
2012, KQPN was granted a license by the Federal Communications Commission to serve the public interest as a public trustee until June 1st, 2020. Our license will expire on June 1st, 2020. We must file an application for renewal with the FCC by February 3rd, 2020. When filed, a copy of this application will be available for public inspection at www.fcc.gov. It contains information concerning this station's performance during the last 8 years. Individuals who wish to advise the FCC of facts relating to our renewal application and to whether this station has operated in the public interest should file comments and petitions with the FCC by May 1st, 2020. Further information concerning the FCC's broadcast license renewal process is available at 2730 Lamour Avenue, Metairie, Louisiana, or may be obtained from the FCC, Washington, D.C. 20554, www.fcc.gov.
What's happening is, well, you're smart here. Oh, hey, should we try to get those two parts real quick? Okay. I was going to do that. We can do those on my phone. What do you need? Yeah, okay. And, Gavin and Rocky, I need to do those two. Okay, I'll do those tonight. Hey, this makes me thank you so much. Hey, that's great love music, man. You're people like, you're the top. I love that song. Here we go. Okay, hey, right, yeah. I love that, man. That's fucking awesome. Okay. Oh, God.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Liberty in Action, AM 1600 Radio, Lakeland, Memphis, Tennessee. I'm your host, Donna Bohannon. We are on Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 5 to 6 p.m. That's Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 5 to 6 p.m. And you can get us on Ustream at WMQM 1600 AM. That's Ustream at WMQM 1600 AM. You can watch us on the internet radio, TuneIn.com, search WMQM. That's TuneIn.com, search WMQM. We are asking you also, since we are a working radio show, Liberty in Action, that you get a pen and paper and jot down some information that you might need to know today. And we have a great man sitting in here with us today, and I'll introduce him properly in just a moment. But the reason we're on this show is for information and education. I was a guest on the Guy Reed show. It comes on at 11 o'clock, Andre Guy Reed, a couple of years ago. And I was contacted later to see if there was anyone in our group of Liberty people that might want a radio show, and no one took us up on the offer. So here's what we figured out. That must have been my call. And Butch, Butch Wolf is sitting here with me today. And
hello, Donna.
Hello, Butch Wolf.
Shane.
It's been a while, and you now have a new grandson. Congratulations.
Well, thank you so much.
And yes, Levi. We'll have to hear about Levi. But we welcome you here so much. It's been too long since you've been here. But glad you're here today. And we're going to be talking with William Bathgate in just a moment. He is in Michigan. Butch has some great information. He's been following this case in Michigan before the actual legislature in Michigan. the state of Michigan, and they love their Second Amendment rights, those gun rights, and the freedom of speech. So that's what's been going on in Michigan. Is they actually have some legislators that are actually listening to the people.
That's true.
And that's amazing, Butch, and we'll talk about that as well. But here we are talking on this radio show about information and education, and we are here about liberty, and liberty is freedom with responsibility. So nothing's free. Liberty comes with responsibility, and we just are so thankful for that. And we are basically a Christian radio station here with /Liberty, because we also have Andrew Clark Sr. that comes on at 2 to 4, and we have Joyce Riley that comes on from 7 to 9, and we have Alex Jones that comes on from 12 to 2, and Guy Reed that comes on from 11 to 12. So we have so many shows on this station that you don't need to go anywhere else, folks, because we're right here taking care of business with the folks that we love, and it's amazing what God has done, and that is where we stand. And I know, Butch, you have the same kind of spirit in you that believes that we are on His path.
That's
one foot in front of the other, boots on the ground, ready and prepared.
Just keep moving.
Yeah, that's it. Keep moving forward. And we deliver this message in love, and sometimes it's tough love, things we wish we didn't know, had never heard, because then we become responsible for it. And once we're responsible for something we know, it's kind of like protecting your grandchild, that once you know something's going to harm that child, you're going to do everything in the world you can to protect that child. And this is what we're doing here. We consider all of the folks who are listening and all of their families around the world that we're here to protect you, because we have a absolute public health and safety emergency on our hands, and it is again called the smart meters from our utility companies. We're going to be talking about that today. And Butch Wolf, I want folks to know that you are an architect, and you design what kind of buildings?
Smart, free, designed buildings.
Yes, and that you can even tell us about that a little bit if you want to. And now we are actually here to lift up people and build up community, and that is our final word on this introduction. We are about lifting up people and building up community, and the last 5 letters of that word of community is unity. Isn't that lovely how that was put together? Community. And that's who we are. It's community taking care of each other.
Right.
Because we are our brother's keeper. And William Bathgate, are you on the line?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, welcome and meet Butch Wolf, and this is William Bathgate.
Hi, Butch.
Hi, Bill. How are you today?
Good.
And I'll tell, we welcome you here today, William Bathgate from Michigan. And we want folks to know that you're an electrical engineer and a mechanical engineer, and you have found out some mighty awesome things and some mighty awful things that you took to the legislature in the state of Michigan, to the state capitol. And we would like for you to start there and tell us actually how you got involved, William Bathgate.
Okay. So I worked for Emerson Electric in Huntsville, Alabama. And when I worked there, I was responsible for high voltage switching systems for power distribution using electronic management, such as Wi-Fi and internet connections, switching things on and off remotely, and many other things very, very similar to the smart meter. Very similar. Current switching, more than 200 amps. And one at 1,500 amps, but basically it was involved in significant engineering effort and UL certification through about 100 different countries to get these products safety tested and getting a pass safety test, which is quite a challenge with electronic management of power distribution systems. So it's a new line in the industry, and it's maturing overnight practically. So I'm very happy to do that job, and then I moved back to Michigan to retire and enjoy myself.
Oh, so you're actively not working right now?
No, I'm working right now, but I'll be retired in January.
Okay, all right. And then you will have much more time to spend with folks like us.
Yes.
Wonderful. I'm glad to know what your time schedule and your calendar is going to be looking like, because actually, William Bathgate from Michigan, I do believe that there will be other radio shows that will want you to be their guest. And we have networked around the country, and I think we can help that happen when you're ready. When you're ready. And oh, wow. We made a list today of things that we wanted to talk about. And, William, what do you want to talk about first?
Well, let's talk first about you went away to work, came back home, and discovered you have now a smart meter on your house.
There you go. That's what's happening right here in Memphis, and Shelby County, because we service the county.
Yeah, so the implied consent laws of the country are different in each state, but
implied consent?
Yeah, so basically it says that we have announced that we're going to install smart meters. Unless you specifically and directly object, then we will install one over your whatever notice or piece of paper you put in front of your meter. It doesn't matter unless you've contacted us directly. Then we will presume you have given us consent. So I imply that you have given me consent to install this meter.
Mm-hmm.
Which, as opposed to asking your permission, is basically saying, we're coming here to install your meter. You have to have it. You can't do it without it. We won't let you have it. You won't be permitted to keep your existing meter. We have to swap the meter out.
And we know that that's really not the case here in Memphis, since it's a public utility company. But that's generally what's happening all across the country and all across the world where they're putting these meters in. However, right here in Memphis, they are doing that. They are actually going on people's property after they've opted out. And that's been a big problem, because they have to come back and do something else in order to rectify that, even after the people have opted out. And we'll get into that a little bit too. But go ahead with what you wanted to say.
So now you've come home and you have the smart meter on the side of your house. What do you do now?
And what do you do now? All right.
So I will assure you that when you call the utility, they will probably not cooperate with your request to put the old meter back on your home.
The old meter being the safe, conventional, traditional analog meter.
Yeah, the analog meter with the wheels on it.
Yes, those 5 dials.
Yep. And so they will probably fight you tooth and nail to not put that back on your house.
Okay.
Now, I believe in Memphis it's a little different in that most other parts of the country, the meter is a piece of property by the investor-owned utility. But I believe in Memphis, I believe that you are a publicly owned utility. So every citizen in the county is an owner in some respects.
That's right. The customer of record, the rate payer, is the owner, the customer.
So if you were the owner, I don't see why they would not simply honor your request to put the old meter back on. Of course, they're going to fight you tooth and nail to do that. Okay?
Yes, because we own everything there, and they want to tell us that that meter belongs to the company. Well, guess what, folks? We are the company in Memphis. We are Memphis Light, Gas, and Water. That's a public utility owned by the customers. That sound is better. I don't know what we did here, but the sound is better.
Okay. I heard you fine. So now this is on the side of your house. If they don't wish to honor your request, let's just say they become obstinate and you can't fight them, and you're just tired of the whole thing, right? Like you and I, Donna, we don't have all year to fight this war. Okay?
Some of us do. Some of us been doing it for 5 years.
I know, but you don't have time to park out at the utility company every day of the week. Some of us have to work for a living, and,
yes.
It just exhausting. That is their tactic, basically, to wear you out.
That's right, to wear you down. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's say you've surrendered. Now what do you do? Well, you do not want the electronics to be sending transmissions from your home to the utility.
That's the smart meter.
That's the smart meter. So I believe in Memphis there is an opt-out option.
Yes, it's an opt-out at no cost at any time, even if you ask for the smart meters and changed your mind. Even if they put that on without your permission, they have to give you the opt-out.
Yeah. Now, as I understand it, the meters manufacturer that you all use in Memphis, brand name of Holster.
Correct.
They have a identical meter that does not get the transmitter turned on. So the transmitters can be turned off by software from the central office. And so they would basically turn off the transmitter, stop it transmitting from your home to the utility.
So we're talking that the utility company is command center.
What they're telling customers, Bill, is that they put a meter on that has no antenna to transmit.
All these meters have an antenna, every one of them. That's a lie.
Yep, we knew that after your first show with us last week.
Yeah, and I sent Donna a schematic diagram and a tore down diagram of the meter. And you can readily see the antenna that's on the circuit board. It's not an antenna that sits outside of it. It's inside the meter itself. It's on a circuit board.
That's why I asked the question, because
he knew the answer already, Bill.
Right.
He listened to you last week.
No problem. So now, so what they're going to do is use a software command to disable the transmitting. You have to double check that yourself because they have no way to check it themselves. Believe it or not, the technicians that drive around in the trucks do not have an RF meter that detects whether or not the thing's transmitting any on it anymore. So you will have to try to work with a network of people within Memphis that maybe somebody in the community has a meter.
The actual. Yes.
Some communities, the public libraries purchase meters.
You're talking about a meter that's different from the smart meter. So what you're calling it an RF meter reader is what we call it.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Okay.
And they're made by many manufacturers. You can buy them at a relatively reasonably low cost, about $150 approximately.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, that's low to me, but not low to others. But I do know several communities in the country have gotten their public libraries to obtain this kind of a meter. So you can check it out with a library card. Don't know if that happens in Memphis, but you can always request that of the public library to have them procure one for communities.
And they're very.
It would make sense to have them do that because since the utility is a public utility, they should be able to facilitate that. It's not exorbitantly expensive for a library to buy it, but it may be more than some people can buy. I don't know. Some people, can't afford $10 more a week.
Exactly, and we are 70%, 68% economically depressed in Memphis. We need jobs, and we need good paying jobs.
Yeah. So the tactic I would take is if you can't obtain one or find someone that has one already that will loan it to you for use, then contact the public library and make your case. Ask them to obtain one for public use that can be checked out, and then you can check your meter yourself. Now, the meter will transmit approximately every 4 to 9 seconds.
Correct.
For a brief period, and then throughout the day, it'll transmit anywhere from 15 contiguous minutes up to hours, depending upon the traffic of the network. I had actually the meter on my home I'm living in right now, which is a temporary home. It has transmitted all night.
Transmitted all night.
All night. So it's finally got through the transmission.
And that means they're collecting data from all over the neighborhood.
Every home. Yeah, they have all the stats in every home.
And this is a computer system, and it's emitting microwave radiation at the same time.
Yeah, it's a full-blown transmitter. It's not something. I know that some of the utilities have made comments to kind of minimize this, saying it's only as big as a text message, or it's a very short couple seconds, it only transmits 2 minutes a day. I have found none of that to be true.
Okay, great.
Testing hundreds and hundreds of meters.
And this is what you did for 40 years in the telecom industry.
Yeah.
And Butch, I think, has a question for you. Did you have a comment or question, Butch?
Well, Bill, we always hear that these meters are connecting with each other. Does it basically make a